I just wanted to do a little clip on just some regular leg massage techniques that I find effective if someone is suffering from, a lot of leg tension, maybe from their athletic endeavors, or if somebody is, getting older and, their circulation isn't good, or in the case of Kyle here, and he's suggested that he's got a bit of sacroiliac joint tension. So I thought I would just, do some massage where we could actually, work on the gluteal area. And so just, doing some kind of reinforced finger kneadings here, just up through the glute and up into past the gluteus maximus and up into the gluteus medius and minimus, and just going right up to the posterior portion of the iliac crest there. Yeah, and just kind of coming around and working on the back of the thigh. And so, just spreading this lotion, just getting it going, doing a little ringing on the inner thigh here, to spread the lotion and get that all going. So, and often, if somebody's reasonably young, muscular, athletic, and they're coming to the clinic, often they want a fair bit of deep work. And so, really it's just all about, moving your weight, your body weight into the leg in this instance. So I'm just kind of using my fist here, and I'm kind of running my knuckles along the back of his hamstring, and I'm just kind of guiding it along with my other hand. So, it's kind of like using, when you do push-ups, and your wrist is bent like this, sometimes for massage therapists, they can't get as much sort of pressure behind it because, even if you're an older therapist, you might already be experiencing some tension in your wrist for going into, kind of the furthest point of extension. So it's just like having one of those push-up bars that help keep your wrist straight. Use your fist, and really, the lower your table is for the person, the more of your own sort of physical body weight. How does that feel?
Feels good.
Yeah, does it feel too much?
Oh, no.
Okay. Yeah, so you see, you would even like deeper work, would you?
Yeah, like I've had men putting their full body weight.
Yeah, so, and, depending on who you are, you might like doing that kind of work. I mean, personally, for me, that's not the clientele that I get. So I get this other clientele that is like more oriented to things like TMJ and stuff like that. But, if somebody asks you for deeper work, you can kind of put some pressure on that would, be reasonably satisfying. So, but the other point is that sometimes, just working deeply on the muscles isn't the thing that's actually going to resolve all of the problems. So I like to also just target certain things. For one thing, here we have it like just at the bottom of the hamstring. So this is the insertion point here, and this is often so tender on people who have a lot of tightness at that insertion point. So if I was doing this, I would tell them that whatever hamstring stretch they were doing, they needed to pay attention to the fact that the stretch that they had chosen, whether it was, doing almost like a yoga overhead and then straight when you're sitting with your legs straight on the floor, or whether you're doing more of a standing stretch for the hamstrings, whatever it is, make sure that you're actually doing something that has a sensation of, elongating this tendon. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so that's kind of what you want. Now, people would sometimes do a stretch and it would just go to the tightest area that might be the origin or the insertion, but that's not always the case. So just making that suggestion. And now I'm just, doing the gastrocnemius. I can use my thumbs. I can use that. I can also use my elbows. So if I am going down and I'm doing these kind of like petrissage strokes with my elbow, this is definitely, right here in the soleus, in the center of the soleus right here. This is a postural muscle. And this is often a very common trigger point. So you could just kind of hang out in there. I'm sure you probably feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. So now I just wanted to also show you a little technique that I do for the upper portion of the hamstring, which is to just kind of, find it there just at the ischial tuberosity, and you can kind of get some leverage on the table if you like. And now I'm just sort of rocking my elbow over top of the insertion point of the hamstring there. And, you can feel that, right? Mm-hmm. So what you can do is you can actually just stay in one spot and move the leg, right? So now the leg is kind of, doing the work there. So you're just kind of compressing into that tendon where it's inserting into the skeleton there at the bottom of the pelvis, and you're just kind of working over it. And if you find an area that's kind of tight in there, hey? Yeah, you can just kind of work there. Now, another thing is that sometimes people come in and they complain about groin pain or groin tightness, and sometimes working on the groin is difficult when people are laying straight up. They kind of, grimace a lot, and when you're doing deep tissue work and stuff like that. So you can kind of work on, where the inner thigh muscles meet the quadriceps here. You can kind of do that while their legs more in a turned out position. And you can also pick up the leg and kind of like hold onto it here, and then, work into the groin there a bit, like even just like this. Just kind of like working that musculature. And, even if people are so tight in their inner thigh that they can't get out here, you're probably going to end up back more here. But what I get people to do is just push me. So can you push through your knee there and then go back? So we're just going to go back and forth, right? Yeah. And can you feel how it kind of lengthens that inner groin kind of area there? Yeah. And then if you want a little bit more, because this isn't tough, lifting his leg, then slide forward again, slide towards me. Yeah. Then you could just even, kind of, how's that? Just kind of stretching, right? Yeah. So, you can do some stuff. Just make sure the person's draped well. And, if people don't move well at your coaching, of how to do stuff, sometimes it's because they don't feel comfortable with the draping, right? And then, you can stretch out the quad a little bit there. And that always really feels good. And then this is a good position to, kind of work on, say if the person was experiencing any kind of like anterior compartment problems, or, just any kind of shin splints or anything like that. So that's something that you can do. The other thing I like to do sometimes is just, work into those attachments of the hamstring just by bending the knee, right? So now again, you're kind of doing something deep, but it's not perceived as deep. It doesn't necessarily see how I'm working that same spot, but it doesn't feel as intense as when I did it before, right? So it's kind of like, how are you going to work on somebody who has tightness there, but they don't like deep work? They don't want to feel uncomfortable. I mean, some people are used to feeling uncomfortable and feel like that's the only way that they can get results. And so, you can lean into them a little bit more, but at the same point, just combining a bit of motion with, what they're saying about motion these days. It's the lotion. Let's take this pillow out here. And let's get you to put your foot like you're standing here, right? And push your toes into the table so much that your knee comes off. And now start to drop your hip down towards your heel like you're lengthening your neck. Yes. There you go. And come back up. And just kind of oscillate your pelvis and your whole entire leg. Now, I see you doing a lot with your pelvis. You're just moving your pelvis from side to side to do that. But I want you to really get engaged about lengthening that thing. And I want you to think about this as a way that when you're riding your bicycle, if you're standing up, this is what you should be doing, right? If you're standing while you're riding a bike, your leg kind of goes down straight and your pelvis should be going along with it, right? So let's just flip that over now, and then let's try this leg. Yeah, so you're going to put this foot into the table like for running, and now you're going to do the very same thing here. And what does that feel like compared to the other side? Try not to go so lateral. Try to think, hey, this is a length thing, right? Yeah, so there you go. And I'll even help you here, right? You really have to think about it?
Yeah.
So maybe with the modeling, this is the leg that either you stand on mostly or you feel more adept at kind of doing moves on and stuff. And so you really just want to kind of ask your other side, to do stuff more as well, too, right? So there you go. So now do it as though you're walking. Do it with both legs. So push one and then the other. Yeah. And really feel that it can go all the way up to your head in some way, right? How does that feel?
That's a really nice stretch that I haven't really felt.
Good, good. So it's kind of releasing your back, releasing your pelvis. Yeah, so that's really good. Okay, well, perfect then. Kyle was experiencing some tension on this side of his leg, and so, we've done some movement with sort of trying to decompress the lower back a little bit. And now I'm going to pick up his leg. And really, it's very easy to pick up the leg just from the knee here and bring it over. So I'm just going to pick up your leg and kind of stretch you back. But what I want you to feel when I'm doing it is that you start to rotate in your back, Kyle. Okay, so now all the rotation can't be in your lower back. So I'm going to come up and you have to let this rotate, right? You have to respond to it, right? Because this is what I was saying before with you, is that I was a little concerned that your spine didn't rotate so well through the center portion of you, It's just kind of a kickback like that. So now what about if you were to kick your leg back on your own? So just lift up your leg, bend your knee, drop your leg. Yeah, just bend your knee, yeah. And now lift your leg up in the air and kick it over towards me. Like, yeah, just like that. And really feel your back involved here. And then take it back down and use less of buns of steel here. Use the rotation in your trunk. Yes. Right? You see what I mean? Use movement. It's your friend, right? And so using the muscles in your glutes, of course, you're strong and all that, but try not to use it too much, because sometimes when you contract too much one area, that's where you get this kind of stopping of motion flow, right? So come on this way again and lift and bring yourself. Do you find that easier now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to hold on to your leg now, and I've just got you like this. And now just relax. You can just let yourself go. Yeah, I'm holding on to your leg. And now I could work like very high up in your quads here and do almost like some frictions, almost like some releasing of the anterior quad. Do you ever get tightness in your quads as well, do you think? Or
I don't think so as much recently. But a lot when I was younger.
Right. Yeah. Well, sometimes it just has to do with, I'm just kind of working around the hip joint now, but just kind of, doing some range of motion and doing some compression and just trying to, kind of release that a bit in the hip. Now, here's something that you can do for yourself, and just make your hip distance apart a little bit, that's good. And now tick-tock your legs, like what, yeah, go that way and that way. And tell me which way is easier.
To the left.
Now.
Yeah.
And when you go to this other side, what happens?
There's a tightness in my back.
I see. In the right side of your back?
It kind of just spreads across.
Okay. So now what you have to do is you have to pay attention to what happens when you go over here and why it's not happening. And I can tell you why it's not happening is because your left side of your lower rib cage is actually turning a little bit. Here.
Yeah, like
you're letting the next of you, right? And we already kind of worked on that a bit. So can you try and do that here?
Oh yeah, okay.
That's so funny, right?
Yeah.
Do you see that? So this might be a holding pattern of yours.
Yeah.
You know, where when you're standing, you're kind of in this zone of holding. So here's how you fix that to some degree, which is the same thing that I showed you on the other side. Now what you're going to do is you're going to lift this leg in the air. You're going to keep this one up. And now you're going to kick this one higher than the other one when you go over. That's a little high. You know, but not so much, and not so much buns of steel, remember? We're trying to rotate the back. There you go. Right? We're just trying to get that back doing the work, right? That core, the pelvis is turning, and get this baby in the picture. Like, don't just let it lay there. You're kind of, yeah, there you go. Try it a couple more times. There you go, there you go, there you go. Okay, come back now. All right, now we're going to test it again with your wiper washer and see how that is. What do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely locking in the mid-body.
Yeah, so I'm glad, you know, I feel like you have a really good kinesthetic sense. But whenever you find yourself kind of trying to muscle your way through something,
Right.
I think the sort of thing to ask yourself is, what am I like holding on to here, right? What am I trying to muscle through because I'm not letting some movement go, right? Yeah, because your locomotion and your movement is 100% coming from your skeleton and your brain.
Yeah.
Your muscles are really like what I call the blue-collar workers, you know? So, you know, you're kind of in charge. And when you're on habit, though, you know, they're in charge, right? But if you're trying to sort of improve something or you've got some pain or some difficulty, then that's always, you know, something. So I think now if we do this, and had we done this in the beginning, we might have found that maybe this wasn't so, you know, kind of mobile through here, right? Yeah. Now, you know, we're kind of moving, and that feels pretty good, doesn't it? You know, you're moving and shaking, you're ready to go out tonight. Yeah. And when I actually move through your spine, I feel like you've got more motion here. So for you, you know, to just, if you're going to lay on the floor and do something like that, those kickback things and stuff like that, then just turn your head to the side that you're moving to, you know? Okay. Yeah. So if you were going over here, you know, you'd kind of, you know, just, I mean, you can get sort of like a twist thing going with your head to the opposite, but, you know, it's just like when you sleep, you know, if you tend to sleep on your stomach, you should pull up one leg, but your head should be turned to the same side because then everything's congruent. So that was just me showing how to do some work on the leg, how to decompress the pelvis in a unique way, how to help somebody without too much hands-on, you know, develop some looseness in their lower back and become a bit more aware of what they're doing, maybe from one side to the other. And I think, as you heard, Kyle responded quite well to it. So that's fantastic. And thanks a lot, Kyle, and thank you.